Hello, and a very warm welcome to Between Lines. I'm Reed, your guide to the world of the written word and storytelling. I hope I can share some tips and inspiration to help make your story even more captivating and engaging. Let's get started. Once upon a time, there were two miller brothers who ground corn all year round, from dawn to dusk, yet remained dirt poor. The brothers were named Urs and Hagen, and both had lost their parents to the good Lord at an early age. Hagen was the younger of the two, but he had inherited the skill for running their father's mill. Urs, though the elder, had inherited their mother's temperament. He enjoyed maintaining contact with the farmers who brought their grain to the mill and enthusiastically negotiated prices and schedules with them. The hard labor of grinding the grain amidst creaking wood and clouds of flour dust did not appeal to him as much. And so the years went by and the brothers grew into strapping men. Apart from that, little changed. Yet rumors spread among the coachmen of dark clouds looming over the castles in the land. Then war came. Soldiers began bringing grain to the mill, for the king required every pound of flour for his troops. While this provided steady work, the soldiers paid less than the farmers had. As they waited for the flour, the soldiers drank and gambled. One day, Urs joined the officers in their games. As always, people enjoyed listening to him. Eventually, he was asked if he would consider joining the army. Good men are always needed, they said, and the pay is decent. Urs hesitated. He didn't want to leave his brother alone. But Hagen insisted they needed the money badly and encouraged his brother to enlist. That night, Urs dreamt of foreign lands and marching soldiers. Excited, he crawled out of his bed and eagerly awaited the grain carts in the morning. With a wolfish grin, the officers sealed the deal. Urs joined the war. In the camp, he was issued armor, a pike, and sturdy boots for marching. He struggled with the harsh discipline, but earned the officers' favor through the card games at the mill. Meanwhile, back home, the king sent more and more grain to the mill, leaving Hagen overwhelmed and desperate. As Urs learned to fight, he became skilled at it. Each day, he marched further and longer, earning the officers' approval, and they soon sent him to the front lines. The journey was long but picturesque. They marched through green valleys and along wide rivers. In every town, citizens waved flags and showered them with flowers. In the barracks and camps, they emptied tables of food and barrels of drink. By night, they roamed the streets with girls. Urs repeatedly asked about his pay to send to his brother, but was always told, "It's not payday yet." Eventually, they left their homeland behind, and for the first time, Urs felt uneasy. One night, they stayed at a stable where the elderly owners hung lifelessly from rough ropes tied to the rafters. His older comrades reassured him, saying they weren't proper people. They believed in strange, silly things. The next day, they passed a grain mill. The millers spoke in an incomprehensible tongue, but Urs understood their pleas for mercy. His comrades tied them to the mill's sails and wagered on who would fall first. Meanwhile, they ransacked the mill, finding a chest of coins under the floorboards. "Today's payday," his comrades roared. Now Urs understood where the soldiers' pay came from. The next day, they marched into battle, besieging a grand enemy castle. "Sieges are dull," his comrades claimed, "but profitable." They were proven right. Urs's troop patrolled the surrounding area, killing enemies who tried to smuggle supplies or messages into the castle, but they never found the secret tunnels the enemies used. One misty autumn morning, foreign drums echoed and the alarm was raised. The castle lord's brother had arrived with an army and 100 elephants. A battle of fire and steel ensued. By the 10th day, the ground was stained red. The few survivors retreated homeward. Urs's legs carried him faster than ever before. With ample pay, he vowed never to return to the front lines. But when he arrived home, there was no joyous reunion. A corpulent man sat smoking a pipe in front of the mill, which now housed a new miller's family. They told him Hagen had been deemed lazy and imprisoned by the king. Devastated, Urs drowned his sorrows in the tavern, losing all sense of time. It was common knowledge that no one escaped the king's dungeons. Yet the more he drank, the stronger his resolve to see Hagen again. He sought advice from old army comrades, but learned nothing about his brother. Instead, he discovered that the king needed new officers after losing many in battle. Determined, Urs did whatever was necessary. He recruited many volunteers into the army and became a good, if stern, officer. He listened to his soldiers' troubles and ensured supplies were well organized, earning widespread respect. Soon, he commanded an entire regiment. Though Urs fought many victorious battles for his king, he left the looting and senseless killing to others. His regiment achieved a great triumph one day, and the king himself wished to reward him. A grand parade was held in his honor, attended by generals, officials, and nobles from across the land. It was a radiant day, and the streets were filled with dancing and laughter. Kneeling before the king, Urs was offered a golden crown, but he refused, asking only for his brother's release. The king turned crimson with rage and shouted for all to hear, "No victory can justify defying my laws." The glint of steel flashed in the sunlight, silencing the king forever. Urs had anticipated the king's response and had given secret instructions to his loyal men. On that day, those who shared the king's greed for power fell alongside him. It was proclaimed across the land that there would be no more wars with their neighbors unless absolutely necessary. Urs vowed never again to see hard-working citizens punished for their efforts. He found Hagen hungry and weary but alive in a dark cell. After regaining his strength, Hagen joined Urs in building a new home that spring. Both found strong wives and raised many children, living happily into old age.